What's up, everybody? It's your girl TK, and I am back. So excited about being here with you this late Monday night. Monday Mail is getting ready to take off. Yes, I wanted a great start to Monday Mail coming back in full force. And I'm excited about being here tonight. I don't know about you. It's a late night, but it's Monday night. So if you can jump on in, we're getting ready to talk about how to overcome being an introvert in the workplace and understanding how to advocate for yourself. So what I'd like for you to do is share this. I know it's late, but wake up, everybody. Look at this. Vincent, of course, who is my husband, he's eating dinner and it smells so good in this house right now. And I have come from work to teaching as an instructor, now to Monday Mail. And guess what? I'm ready to eat. And I know that most of you all are doing the same and trying to settle in. But I want to talk tonight about something that's very near and dear to my heart, because a lot of us who are introverts, yes, believe it or not, your girl TK, the one that's right here in front of you, is exactly that. I am not posing as one. I am one for real. Like in real life, I am an introvert, and I am happy to share some strategies on how to overcome and still have some executive presence in the workplace, as well as self-advocate in that space. Because so many times as introverts, if you do not learn how to self-advocate, you will not be seen, you will not be heard. And even though you're being seen, you're not even valued. And so what I would love to do tonight is to help establish a premise of value, even for those of us who are introverts and want to ensure that they are self-advocating. And so tonight, I'm very excited to bring this to you in a very short format. But I want to first talk about what an introvert is. What is an introvert? An introvert is typically characterized by a preference for internal reflection over external stimulation. Do you understand that? So you would rather sit with yourself, be by yourself. Your people meter is not really high. You don't have a lot of tolerance for a lot of stimulation and a lot of interaction. In fact, you find yourself socially awkward. So most introverts, if you're an introvert out there and you're really struggling, you do know that you can agree with this statement that I'm getting ready to make. You draw your energy from solitary activities rather than social interactions. And even though we are social beings, even though we are socially interactive, it becomes very uncomfortable for introverts in the workplace to have high visibility and assertiveness, because when it comes down to self-advocating, you traditionally are not an extrovert in that level of behavior. So frequently your voice volume is turned all the way down, and your contributions are not very well accepted. And the reason why they're not accepted is why? Because you don't talk, you don't say anything, because you really don't know how to navigate those areas. So overcoming the challenge of being an introvert, becomes very difficult if you do not learn how to reframe what advocating for yourself is. It's not being boastful. Let me tell you what self-advocating is not. It's not about you being boastful. It's not about you telling everybody what you can do. It's not promoting yourself to the extent that it becomes aggravating to others around you. But advocacy is a responsibility that you have to yourself from a professional standpoint to ensure that you're recognized for your contributions. Have you ever been in a workspace where you've contributed everything and then somebody takes the credit for it because you don't speak up, or you give it away? You say, hey, I'm not willing to speak up in this meeting, so can you make the presentation? I don't feel comfortable showing my face on screen, so can you talk up for me? It's your responsibility to ensure that in the professional environment that you are recognized. And so in order to maintain an executive presence, introverts have to focus on communicating with clarity. You have to restructure your level of confidence, and you have to have a poise about yourself that even if your style is a little bit quieter than somebody who's very boisterous and talking out loud, even if it's that, you have to be deliberate in your conversation. So you have to practice the structure of speaking when opportunity presents itself. And I'm going to pause right there and slow down just a little bit, because I know a lot of you all who are struggling, Manisha and Latara Tillman and Willie James Williams. I see you all coming on. Thank you for joining. But a lot of us who struggle with being an introvert in the workplace, it oftentimes starts in the home. It starts with you just as a socially interactive being, and it spills over into every other area that you come in contact with. So therefore, if you're in a corporate environment and you're naturally not someone who is deliberate in your conversation and you don't exude a lot of confidence, although let me pause right here and say this: confidence is always under construction. Confidence is always being built, Carla. Confidence is always on a surface of construction. It's a construction zone all within itself. So I will tell you that there are a lot of people who struggle with understanding that they're an introvert, but they also know how to present themselves when the time is right for them to present themselves. So you have to know that when the opportunities come up, prepare yourself. One thing about being prepared is that in advance of your meetings and things of that nature, you need to be purposeful. You need to be highly intentional on understanding how you are going to say something. You got to speak up. You have to be authentic, and you cannot allow people to project over you, right? So by recognizing the fact that you need to rebuild your internal dialogue and understand that, hey, whatever it is I have to do to get myself in an executive space, that's what I'm going to have to do. That's how you advocate for yourself. You clearly communicate. You advocate for yourself with confidence. You have a poise, even if it's a little quieter. You keep that executive presence. Now, how do you overcome this? Many are asking, I want to maintain my executive presence. I'm a very good worker. I show up on time. Now, let me tell you something about executive presence. I'm not talking about the people who clock in late. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking about people who do not meet their deadlines. I'm talking about people who are very intentional about being a good employee, but they need some strategies on how to advocate for themselves as an introvert so that their good work is not overshadowed by what they're not saying and how you're not showing up. So how do you reframe self-advocacy? Let me tell you what it is not. Once again, it's not about being loud. It's about being clear. It's about self-respect. But you're not antagonizing yourself for not being as loud or as extroverted as someone else. You have to be effective in your advocacy to protect your value so that you are fairly considered. A lot of times, let me tell you what happens in corporate spaces. A lot of time in corporate spaces, the reason why we're overlooked and underpaid is because we do not allow people to know what our value really is. We don't give them what our true value is. We don't write down the accomplishments that we do during the course of the year. And then when we get into these one-on-ones with our manager, state the obvious. We don't state it. We just assume that the manager should know that we're working overtime or that we're volunteering for other projects. Your value is so necessary in that you have to tell them. So in your know where you stand conversations in your mid-year evaluations, at your end of the year evaluations. Don't allow people to just put on you what they think you've done during the course of the year. Advocacy for yourself means that you protect your value. So that's why you need to keep a running log of the things that you're doing on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, so that when things come up, you can be considered. And let me tell you something, introverts. Let me tell you, sometimes we have to reframe and flip the script. We have to volunteer when people feel like we're not going to volunteer. We have to speak up. We have to be willing to put ourselves in situations that teach us internally how to have this self-recognition. And I'm not going to be on here much longer, but let me tell you, even though introverts face discomfort with promoting themselves and you find it highly awkward and draining to highlight your achievements, let me tell you what's worse than that. What's worse than that is never being catered to for what you bring to the table. If you're at the table, make sure people know you're at the table. If you're there, you belong there. So stop allowing the inner voice, this rent-free demon, to live in your head to say that you deserve to be unheard, because that depletes all of your energy. Because you're working, you're doing the things that's necessary, you're showing up. But when you allow yourself to not be seen, not be heard, and not be valued, it depletes the energy that you bring to any space, because you're consistent in doing the things that you're supposed to do. And when you're consistent in doing the things that you're supposed to do, guess what? You should be recognized for it. Let's just be real. We're talking about a professional working environment. Your skills and your contributions, they sometimes do go unnoticed, but they don't go unnoticed if you communicate them. And sometimes you got to put that email on them. You gotta write those contributions. You have to say, hey, listen, I see this job is out here. I see you all are looking for a stretch role position, somebody to fill a stretch role position, or I would like to do just a little bit more. Here are some of the contributions I've made. This is how I've leveled up my skills. How do you level up your skills, TK? You need to go over to LinkedIn. You need to go to LinkedIn Learning. You need to go to Coursera. They're not paying me to advocate for them. I'm helping to help you advocate for yourself. You need to go get you a few certifications under your belt, some that just only take 5 hours. You can do it a weekend. Get them on your LinkedIn wall. Do something. Take advantage of what your company gives you. There are benefits that your company has available that we don't even take advantage of. There are employee resource groups that we don't even connect to. We don't do anything outside of our normal role. And you have to be well-rounded in your workplace sometimes to help lead to promotions and other leadership roles. And I know it sounds, well, TK, I don't want to put all of that work into it. Well, guess what? This conversation may not be for you. That's just, it sounds like that. And it is what it is. I'm talking to the people who really want to do more, be more, and have more, but you don't know how to get more. So this is how you get more, introverts. This is what you do. You advocate to ensure that you shape your own role. Listen, you have to teach the people, even in your company, how to think about you. What is your brand saying about you? Is it saying that she never says anything in meetings? Does she talk too much in meetings? You need to exercise what we call the wait model. Why am I talking? Y'all need to do that in church too, but we're talking about work tonight. Why am I talking? But there's another part of that wait model. Why aren't I talking? These are things you need to execute in your plan for the strategy of your own self-advocacy, even as an introvert. So how do you prepare to talk? Before meetings, you know that there are things that are coming up. Some things you can say. God bless Supervisor T. Marie Brown. I see you out there. I see you, Olivia and Melody. How do you speak up for yourself? Listen, before you go into some of these meetings, you know what the meetings are going to be about. Outline some things that you know that you can actually contribute to the conversation in. If you know that they're going to be talking about something that you're passionate about, listen, I don't have conversation with non-factors. Y'all know what non-factors are. People that can't do nothing for me. I talk up. I talk up. I talk up. You got to talk up. I prepare to speak up, not just speak up and have my voice heard, but I prepare executive conversation, meaning that if I need to speak to someone outside of my peers, I am ready for that conversation. And you're not going in with a lot of extra details and what you ate for breakfast. Conversations with executives, you got 60 seconds, if that, to say what you need, to say what you want. So you need to advocate. Listen, let me tell you the power of Teams. Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of people in Microsoft Teams, and there's a lot of people you feel like that are high-level executives and directors and vice presidents and senior vice presidents and senior leaders, even your manager. Most of you all have managers that have not even heard from you. They don't know what you can do. They don't know what your skill sets are. And then you're wondering why you don't get promoted. You don't get asked to do anything other than what you're doing currently because you don't speak up. You don't speak up to the right person. So the power of Teams is this. When you get up enough gut, introvert, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, I did it. When you get up enough gut, you need to reach out to just somebody you've been wanting to speak with very randomly, and to your manager. Just start with your manager and say, can I put 15 minutes on the calendar? I would love to have a 15-minute conversation with you. Just a one-on-one check-in with you. And it's a personal meeting I'd love to have with you as my supervisor. And because it's your supervisor and because it's your manager, it might be slightly intimidating, but guess what? They're going to appreciate the fact that you've reached out on Teams just to say, I'd love to get 15 minutes with you on your calendar. Now, they may come back and tell you they don't have 15 minutes. Guess what? You asked. And now that manager may not have 15 minutes, but you may be looking at another department and you may say, hey, to this other supervisor, may I please just get 10 minutes of your time? I'd love to speak with you about what you do in your role. And you can focus on that shared space. I'm telling you strategies on how to self-advocate. One thing this helps you to build is the confidence that you need to start speaking in areas that are necessary. Again, the weight model. Why am I talking or why aren't I talking? And in these meetings, as I come to my own close, you need to set some boundaries. You need to be firm in your work preferences. You need to tell your managers and your peers what your preferred communication style is. And sometimes, guess what? You might need to say, listen, I'm just a person of, I'm a processor. I have to tell my managers, listen, I'm an introvert and I'm going to share with you what I have to do. I've had to tell my managers in meetings because one thing that I was actually the feedback I've received was that, hey, you don't speak up in meetings. And you know what I had to let them know? Or another piece of feedback I received, this is a very transparent conversation I'm having with you all because I want to help you. Another piece of feedback I received was, hey, TK, when the meeting is over, you ask questions. When we finish and we close, you send us an email. Well, I had to let them know I don't mean any harm or disrespect because the management was like, well, why didn't you just ask this in the meeting? Well, guess what? I had to let them know I'm a processor. By nature, I'm a processor. My job during the day, I'm an analyst by day. So there's things that when I hear it for the first time, I have to process the information. So somebody giving me that information in the moment, I may not be able to answer them in the moment. I may not be able to have that conversation in the moment. So you know what I had to do? Instead of them just saying, you don't speak up and you ask questions when it's all over and me leaving it at that, you know what I had to get enough gut. I had to get enough what they call gumption. That's not even a word, but anyway, they say it. I had to get enough of that. And when I got it, I said, you know what? I appreciate you. This is how you receive feedback now. This is what takes you further than titles and positions and that paycheck. This is what takes you further than all of that. It's the way you receive feedback. Feedback is a gift. Feedback is the thing you need. It's what you need back in order to move forward. So what I said to that was, I appreciate you for calling that out. I'm definitely working on that. However, I'm a processor. I'm not sure if you know that about me. However, in the moment when you're giving the information, I'm receiving everything you're saying. I'm calculating it. I'm writing it down. I'm capturing it. However, sometimes the thoughts that I have do not really come to me until after the meeting is over. So I appreciate you for at least responding to my concerns or my contributions for that conversation. However, I really just have to stop and let you know that I'm a processor. You know what happens now? When we get in the next team meeting, Stephanie, you know what happens? The manager now says, I understand we may have some processors here. So if you have to sit with this information, see, you better teach them. You got to teach them how to receive you. And then you know what? After you teach that, it's no longer a mark against you because you have to think about your professional brand. What are they saying about you outside of those meetings? When those managers get together and things come up, whose name is coming up at the table? And if you're a person that's set back or, she just sends emails after the meeting's over, I don't think we can trust her on that project, and you've never shared with them why, you're going to consistently get passed over. So you've got to self-promote through storytelling, framing your contribution and say, hey, here's the problem that we faced. Here's how I've helped to solve it in other areas. And this is not a bragging moment. This is just a share out. You got to know how to utilize those corporate terms that actually translate into respect and executive presence. Last thing you need to do is get with a network, build relationships with managers. I told you have to speak up, not just speak up loudly. You have to talk up. You need to get somebody who understands your work and your style and can help support you so that your voice is amplified, even when you're not talking. Now, if I ain't said anything else on this here tonight, that was powerful. Your voice needs to remain amplified even when you're not saying a word. Whether I'm in the room or not, I've established a corporate brand that allows my voice to remain amplified even when I'm not saying a word. That's why, as I funnel this conversation, you must leverage your strengths. Introverts, listen to me. Listen, come in close. Come all the way in. That's how close I need you. Introverts, listen. You cannot focus on your weaknesses. You cannot allow people to create the narrative for you. Hear what I'm telling you. Don't allow people to create your narrative. You create and control your narrative about your professional brand, even as an introvert. Talk from the place of your strengths. I tell everyone that I work with, I never share what I cannot do. Because if I never tell you what I cannot do, you will never know. Because if you feel like I can do it, I'm not going to let you know anything any differently. Because between God, Google, and the rest of these apps out here, YouTube University, my answer will be yes, I can do that. Leverage your strengths Understand that you have value and that you have something to offer, that all of the assets that you come with, they can be centralized to advocating for yourself. And these are some approaches. Now, listen, they're not the only approaches. They're not the only strategies. And if you have strategies out there, put them in the chat. If you've overcome as an introvert, throw it over in the chat. If you have exercised some things and executed some strategies that have worked for you and helping you to reframe and try some other things, let us know. Just know that being an introvert in the workplace is not a sentence of doom. Again, always exercise the weight model. Why am I talking, or why aren't I talking? And for most introverts, it's the latter. Why aren't I talking? Get yourself together. Structure who you are. Gather the data on yourself. You have it. Structure your opportunities right now so that you can become someone in the workplace that, even though you're an introvert, can certainly be valued, heard, seen. I appreciate everyone for coming on tonight. I've had so much fun. Listen, I've missed this space so much. You all know my journey. I've been on somewhat of a hiatus from certain things that I've really have had a passionate desire to do, because I'm just in a season of life right now trying to finish some things which you will hear about in the very near future that are unfolding. And so I want you to just be patient with me. I'm going to continue this. I love this space, and I really love helping others to advocate for themselves in the workplace where it's not a struggle. Hey, listen, if you want to get in touch with me, always feel free to reach out. workingthedash.com. Go there. I will meet you there. Thank you all so much for your time and your attention tonight. I've enjoyed you sharing with me. Continue to share this broadcast to anyone who you feel will need it, so that we can all maintain the executive presence that we have to share in the workplace. Take care. Until next time, be well.